Right.
It's been kind of very limited.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have a question, Christian? No. Oh, sorry. Other questions? Yeah. MJ? Yeah.
Are they marrying out?
From what I've seen, yeah, right, yeah. From what I've seen, not really. The marriage between Bravanese and non-Bravanese Somalis or Afmai or whatever the group might be is fairly common. So I actually attended a wedding in Atlanta where that was happening. It's a Bravanese woman and a Somali. Yeah. So, but also Bravanese, marriages between Bravanese is also taking place. So that's a good question. If they're marrying out, I think it's mostly within that larger Somali community, not necessarily marrying out as in marrying out into other American groups or English groups, at least as far as I've seen. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you have a question, Joel?
I don't know if you said it. Do you have any prediction of when the website might get launched?
Well, I'd sort of put that on hold for a little while for two reasons. One is that I'm trying to focus on getting a draft of the grammar done, and the other is that I'm really anxious to meet some of these guys in London who have been doing a lot of their own work on putting websites together, and seeing if rather than just kind of going out and doing my own thing there, if I can collaborate with them and have them take the reins on some of that so that they can make it into something they think will be very useful. There seem to be at least a few individuals who are very web savvy, much web savvier than I am, actually. So I'm anxious to meet with them this summer and see what possibilities they might have in mind for things. Yeah.
How they either blend in or stand out in American society, like in places you've been?
Well, it's pretty interesting. You may not realize this, but in eastern Atlanta, it's like Little East Africa out there. I mean, there are like 50, 60,000 East Africans from Somalia, Kenya, Ethiopia, all living out in Clarkston and surrounding areas. So it's like any major city. There are enclaves of various cultures, and yeah, and then you go to a city like Minneapolis, it's like 120,000 or 50,000 Somalis, something like that up there. So I don't know if that really answers your question. But, yeah. I mean, they feel there are a lot of, well, anyway, actually, I won't talk about that.
What is it about Minnesota? I mean, the weather there.
Yeah, what is it about Minnesota? What is it about Columbus?
And yet they attract Somalis, they attract the Hmong from Vietnam.
Well, when you're brought in as a refugee under UN refugee status, you're not always given a choice where you're going to go. You usually are placed somewhere, typically a larger Midwestern city, which is understood not to have a larger immigrant population already. People are then free, of course, to go wherever they want after a certain period of time, and people gravitate to one place or the other. So you have, yeah, it's Minneapolis is like little Mogadishu for some reason. But Columbus also has 60,000, I think, Somali people in there. Interestingly, the Bravanese community in Columbus is completely separate from the rest of the Somali community, and this is something I noticed as well, that where that's possible, they would tend to do that. So there are a lot of sort of mixed feelings in interacting very closely with ethnic Somalis, and for very good reasons. I mean, in some ways, these are some of the people that are the reason that they had to leave Somalia in the first place. Sometimes it's in a general sense, sometimes that's literally true. And so in Columbus, for instance, like I said, there are like 60,000 Somalis. They all live in one part of town, but the Bravanese, 2,000 or so Bravanese, they all live in another part of town. They did that quite on purpose, separating themselves in that way. In Atlanta, there's actually a lot more interaction and cohesion. So, yeah, James.
In that case, then how does it work when you said they have intermarried, right?
Yeah. It's, I mean, it,
Language too as well.
I mean, it's complicated, and it's, and there are, yeah, there might be intermarriage between Brabanese and a Somali, but chances are it's not just any Somali. Probably that's a Somali whose family has some ties to that area. Their family is known by Brabanese. So it's, yeah, I mean, I think it might also depend on the clan that they're from, right? This idea of clan. So it's a complicated picture. And then sometimes, of course, just your needs outweigh any reservations you might have. Like in the situation in St. Louis, it was a very small group of Brabanese there, and they were very, very poor, much poorer than the other communities I had witnessed. And so they were very dependent on the larger Somali community. And so there it was just, you know, you just had to speak Somali and interact with Somalis in order to survive. All right, well, I think I've used up all my time. I hope I didn't break anyone's heart by not getting to the syntax, but you have the handout there, and so we can take a look at that, and we could get together for coffee and talk about it. We really could. That would be fun. Thank you.